I find it exceptionally difficult to believe that on that day there would be bad weather, the helicopter would crash, Riyasi would die. And then I find it difficult to believe that Mossad knew that during the inauguration, Ismail Haniyeh would be called, he would fly in from Qatar. Ismail Haniyeh was given the status of a head of state. Either it was absolute and gross negligence, was somebody senior in the Islamic Republican Guard sold out, or was it Iran itself that wanted the Hamas chief dead? This is the building in which he was living. Either there is a mole inside Iran. My podcasts are going to be hardcore national security. They're going to be hardcore, geopolitics and defense and stuff like that. Jai Hind friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Now friends, I do this live every Saturday, and once we asked our viewers a question, I'm going to repeat that question to you because we'll do it in our English channel. A lot of people said that you must get into this podcast thing, and we'd love for you to have conversations with people from here, from abroad, people that you can invite in your studios, and they said it's a good idea, and we promise that we'll do something about it. Now, I want to ask you, and I'm asking you for feedback, the viewers of the Chanakya Dialogues English, would you like to watch podcasts? Because my podcasts are not going to be on entertainment. They're not going to be on politics. My podcasts are going to be hardcore national security. They're going to be hardcore, geopolitics and defense and stuff like that. Because that is what I like to do. I don't claim any specialization, but that is my passion. If you think it's a good idea, write in the comment section, and if you want, we will start this ASAP. Let me know. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll come to our first news item. In fact, we have only one news item, and whatever is happening in Iran. Now, Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh, a top leader of Hamas, the political leader, he was assassinated on 31st July by an explosive device covertly smuggled into the Tehran guest house where he was staying. And according to basically a lot of Middle Eastern officials and the Washington Post and the New York Times and a couple of Iranians and American officials, etc., etc. Now, they say that Haniyeh was staying in a guest house, and earlier they were saying somebody put a missile, which looks more likely to me. But then they said that, hey, Haniyeh was staying in a guest house and there was already a bomb that had been placed there 2 months back. They activated the bomb and goodbye Haniyeh. Now, I find that difficult to believe 2-3 things. First of all, if you look at this image, and I would request you to look at this image very carefully, this is actually an apartment complex. It's not a single house, right? And this complex is owned, even today, it is owned by the Islamic Republican Guards. Now, where are the Islamic Republican Guards in that pecking order of Iran? They are at the very, very top. They report directly to Khomeini. They don't report to anybody else. They are not accountable to anybody else. These people operate abroad. In fact, General Qasem Soleimani, who was heading the Islamic Republican Guards, he was killed outside Iran. He was there on an operation. So whether it is the funding, training, indoctrination and financing of Hamas, of Hezbollah, of any other half a dozen or 1 dozen terror outfits that Iran claims are its proxies, and they claim with pride, by the way, right? All of it is managed by whom? It is managed by the Islamic Republican Guards. This was a safe house. It was not a guest house like the Western media is saying. No, it was specifically a safe house. It's supposed to be safe, right? That is the whole idea of a safe house. It is supposed to be safe. Now, I find it very difficult to believe, ladies and gentlemen, and I just can't get over this. I find it exceptionally difficult to believe that Ibrahim Riyasi would fly in a helicopter. And you tell me if I'm right or wrong, okay? So on a certain day, Ibrahim Riyasi would fly in a helicopter. On that day, there would be bad weather. The helicopter would crash. Riyasi would die. Israel knew about this. Then I find it difficult to believe that, Mossad knew exactly when Ibrahim Riyasi's plane would take off, would crash, and within 50 days there would be an election and the new guy would get elected. Then I find it difficult to believe that Mossad knew exactly who would be elected after the elections And then I find it difficult to believe that Mossad knew that during the inauguration, Ismail Haniyeh would be called. He would fly in from Qatar. He would come all the way to Tehran. He would be welcomed as a state guest. He would be put in this particular place. And then we'll push the button and good night, Ismail Haniyeh. No, there are too many variables in this. This is a very, very, very loose story. I don't know where the Western media is. See, either they are hiding something. I'm not saying that the Western media is lying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they are hiding something. Deliberately misleading, deliberately hiding. There are simply too many moving parts in this story. And I don't think intelligence operations are planned like this. You see, Ismail Haniyeh was an Iranian asset. All right? Iran had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on Ismail Haniyeh and the Hamas and has been spending regularly. Ismail Haniyeh was very, very, very important for Iranian aims, especially when it came to Middle East and especially when it came to dealing with Israel. Ismail Haniyeh was leverage against the state of Israel. Ismail Haniyeh was invited. He was a state guest invited for the inauguration of the new president. Ismail Haniyeh was given the status of a head of state with that kind of security. Now, having said all of this to you and having explained the entire perspective of what Ismail Haniyeh was and how he came to Iran, I find it difficult to believe that Ismail Haniyeh, who was given the status of a head of state, right, would come stay in an apartment, even if it was a luxurious apartment or a duplex, he would stay there, and nobody sanitized that apartment. Nobody sanitized that entire apartment block. Even if it wasn't a projectile from outside, even if people did not enter in and assassinate him, I find all this very difficult to believe. So, what does this tell me? Either it was absolute and gross negligence that Mossad or its assets within Iran can just go inside, place a bomb, and off it goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult for me to believe that in Islamic Republican Guard, safe house in a posh locality of Tehran, fully protected, fully closed, right? Mossad was allowed to walk in and place a bomb. And for 2 months, nobody knew that the bomb existed. After all, it couldn't have been a grenade. It couldn't have been a small little grenade. It would have been, even if it was RDX or C4 or any form of plastic explosive or whatever it was, it would have to be of a certain size, right? It would have been of a certain diameter or a certain circumference or a certain, physical mass. And nobody came to know. There would have been, because the kind of protocol that Ismail Haniyeh was given, there would have been sniffer dogs, there would have been bomb squads, there would have been the whole jing-bang, everything. Because many senior people were in Tehran during those days to attend the swearing in of the new president, his inauguration. I find this entire story, was somebody senior in the Islamic Republican Guard sold out? Is there a group within Iran that wants the Hamas chief or wanted the Hamas chief dead? Or was it Iran itself that wanted the Hamas chief dead? From an asset, had the Hamas chief become a liability? Did Israel know about this operation, and was it an absolute secret that we also want Haniyeh dead and you also want Haniyeh dead? Because there was simply too much pressure on Iran. I'm just saying there are variables. Maybe they wanted him dead, maybe they did not want him dead. I don't understand how he died. How can you say that here is a flat, here is an apartment house, and for 2 months there is an explosive and nobody knows about it, and it's actually the safe house of the Islamic Republican Guards? Earlier they said airborne projectile. That is more believable, that somebody got within 3, 4, 5 kilometers and shot a rocket inside. But I find it very, very difficult to believe this story of a bomb kept 2 months back and nobody came to know, right? So this is the most plausible story that the Western media is covering, and they're saying that this is what largely happened and this is what they know till now. And, there could be a point in this though, because Ismail Haniyeh had made a habit of staying at the same guest house while visiting Tehran, and had visited Tehran several times. So some Middle Eastern officials say that he would come and he would stay at the same guest house. He would never change guest houses. He would never change hotels. There was a certain guest house and he would have been put. You see, they don't lack for hotels in Iran. They have good hotels. And Ismail Haniyeh himself, he came as a state guest. So obviously, the best luxury was always given to him. But he preferred to stay in that guest house because he believed that it was pretty safe for him. Now, again, this is the building in which he was living, and this is the safe house, so to say, where Haniyeh was killed. Now, according to a report in the BBC, the accuracy and sophistication of the assassination bear resemblance to the method used by Israel in 2020 to kill Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, Iran's top nuclear scientist, using a remotely operated artificial intelligence robo. Yeah, I remember this. That's Fakhrizadeh killing. They put an automatic weapon and then they operated it remotely, and it just turned and it shot that scientist. I remember that. Iranian officials and Hamas said that Israel is responsible for the assassination, and now, as per Wilson Center reports, it seems that the intent of the Israeli government is to ensure the conflict spreads, since they cannot exit the quagmire they have dug themselves into in Gaza. This is something that think tanks are thinking, that what could be the intent behind hitting a Hamas political head? Is this because Israel thinks that the war will spread? Is this because they think that now we need to move out of Gaza because, fighting in built-up areas is always dangerous. It goes on and on and on. So is this what the Israelis wanted? Now, Ziad al-Nakhala, the leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, was staying next door, and his room was not severely damaged. So it wasn't just Haniyeh, it was also Ziad al-Nakhala, and he's the leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. What kind of people Iran mixes up with, I don't know, but this implies that Haniyeh's assassination was well planned, it was targeted. Israeli assassination operations outside of the country are primarily carried out by Mossad, the country's foreign intelligence service, and David Barnea, the head of Mossad, said in January that his service was obliged to hunt down the leaders of Hamas, the group behind the October 7th attacks in Israel. You see, friends, I don't believe this story. I just can't understand the loose ends of the story. I just thought I'll make this video today because earlier they said projectile. I said, okay, projectile makes sense. Front facing, clear line of sight, shoot an ATGM into the building, or if you know where this guy is, shoot a rocket, boom, out, take out the target. But this whole thing about this is a safe house of the Islamic Republican. Well, I have heard and read a lot about the Islamic Republican Guards. And those people are professionals and they're pretty good at their jobs. Either there's a mole inside Iran, either there's somebody inside Iran who wants him to die. And I'm not saying Israel is not responsible. Of course, Israel would be responsible. But the way Israel looks at this entire scenario and the way they are able to influence people inside Iran, people of the Islamic Republican Guard Corps, I think that is something that needs to be studied in greater detail. Now we have some questions, and Tommy Goodwin says, Major, can you tell us why the extreme Islamic states with hundreds of millions of people gang up on a small country with a small population? Maybe they have not the courage to take on Israel. Thanks, Major, for the best channel on YouTube from South Africa. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. And Mr. Tommy Goodwin, the issue is that it's not about them ganging up against a small country like Israel. It is, and it has nothing to do with the Palestine. Even if there was no dispute with Palestine, let's say that the United Nations, created the modern state of Israel in the late 40s, and they said, okay, this is the international border, and that is Palestine, and this is Israel, and you live peacefully, there is a wall, and the world recognizes it, and there is no dispute. Let us assume, of course, there is a major dispute, but let us assume there was no dispute. There would still be war. There would be war because the problem is not about the land. It is about who lives between the river and the sea. The problem is with Jews. The problem of the Muslim countries the Islamic states nearby. The problem is that Israel, tomorrow if, and I've said this many times and a lot of people have, come back to me and said that, this is Islamophobia, what you're saying. No, it's not Islamophobia. It's just the truth. And I would encourage people to come on my channel and try and counter me. Write in the comment section and I promise I'll take your questions. We take very limited questions, but if you can find your question down there amongst hundreds and thousands of comments, we would love to take your questions. This whole Israel thing is nothing but hatred for the Jew. That's it. There is no other thing involved in this. They hate them because this hatred is 1400 years old. It has got nothing to do with the modern state of Israel. It has nothing to do with this so-called Palestine, which is not a country, never was. This has got nothing to do with anything except for the fact that Israel is a Jewish state and Jews live next door. And you can't live peacefully with Jews. It is, how do I say without sounding communal, it is not permitted. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Matram, Bharat Mata ki Jai.